Wax Cup All Japan GT Championship started off at Suzuka with a somber tone. Jgtc, the reigning GT300 champion, had been killed while testing a GT500 Toyota a week before the start of the season. A cloud hung over Suzuka then as the season got underway. Yuichi Wakisaka led from pole in a Takata Dome NSX, with Eric Comas in the Pennzoil GTR in second. Not hampered by the spray of cars in front of him, Wakisaka started to build up a lead over Comas in the Nissan. Wakisaka lost that advantage as he lost control of his Honda at the chicane, narrowly missing the Taisan Viper. Moments later, the Calsonic Nissan of Kazuyoshi Hoshino got past Comas and took the lead. It wasn't to last long. The conditions caught out Hoshino, who found himself reversing into the gravel, and Comas was back out in front. Hoshino recovered and got back on track, but the differential on his new R34 Skyline was damaged. Comas, in his yellow Nismo run R34, extended his lead. In GT300, the Wed Sport Celica, which had qualified 8th, was working its way up the field. Having recovered from his moment at the chicane, Wakisaka fought back in the Takata NSX and had somehow managed to catch up with Comas. A battle began, as Wakisaka attempted to regain the lead. As both drivers fought each other for the lead, they also fought for every bit of grip they could find on the track. But eventually, Wakisaka got up the inside at the hairpin. It was a similar story in GT300, with the 910 Porsche trying unsuccessfully to fend off the number 61 Mitsubishi FTO for second position. In the end, the race win went to the Takata Dome NSX, with muted applause. In GT300, the Sigmatech Porsche won the race, but it was later disqualified for an issue with its air restrictor, and the Wed Sport Celica was then declared the winner. The second round of the year was at Fuji Speedway, and the Toyotas started from the front, with the FK Massimo Supra leading from the Saab Supra. The Yeso Supra snuck past the Hondas for third position into the first corner. Behind them, though, there was a mess, with the SOK McLaren tangling with a Honda and some of the Nissans. That Honda, the Takata Dome NSX, was unable to escape the gravel, and it was out of the race. Likewise the McLaren. In GT300, the Zenavi Nissan, which had been on pole, came in at the end of the opening lap, with a terminally cooked engine. Back in the GT500 race, the FK Massimo Supra was trying to break away, while the Saab Toyota was trying to reject the attentions of the Raybrig NSX, which had already had its way with the Yeso Toyota. It was unsuccessful, and soon the Honda was up to second. It soon caught the leader, and Akira Ida waved goodbye to the FK Massimo Supra as he passed it to the lead. That wave might have seemed a bit premature. As the lead battle came upon some GT300 cars, the Supra took advantage of the slower Ferrari, which just wanted to get out of the way. Ida was back into second, but he was in the Toyota slipstream and used it to good effect and got back past into turn 1. There was no waving this time. Further back, the number 36 Castrol Supra of Masanori Sakiya found its way past the Nakajima Racing NSX, briefly. It tried again to get past, but at this point, grip, or a lack of it, overcame enthusiasm. In the end, it was a win for the Raybrig NSX, and there was a minor track invasion in the pit. In GT300, the win went to the Momo Corse MR2 of Morio Nitta and Shinichi Takagi. Sportsland Tsugo was the venue for the third race of the year. Again, it was a Toyota on pole, with the tiger-striped Esso Supra leading from the green light. Behind him, the Raybrig NSX managed to fend off the two Castrol Supras into turn 1. The SOK McLaren got up to 5th. The Esso Supra was going very strongly, now driven by Hideki Noda and former motorcycle world champion Wayne Gardner. GT300 saw the entry of the fittingly numbered Toyota Terreno of Kraft. At the front of the pack in that class, it was a battle between the Zenavi Nissan and the Momo MR2. The battle went on for lap after lap, right up to the first round of pit stops. The Esso Supra came in for its fuel and its tyres, while Noda handed over the car to the so-called Wollongong Whiz. After the stops, Gardner had a small lead over the Castrol Supras in what was becoming a Toyota-dominated race. But just as the Australian caught up to the back of a GT300 Porsche, the engine let go and started an impromptu barbecue. In GT300, there was more bad news for Toyota fans, as the right rear tyre on the Momo MR2 punctured, ruining any chance of it winning the race. The GT500 race was now headed by the Castrol Supra of Sakiya and Takuya Kurosawa. Behind it, there was a good battle between the Matsumoto Kiyoshi Tom's Supra and the Castrol Honda. But the win went to the Tom's Run Castrol Supra, to the delight of Sakiya on the pit wall and Kurosawa in the driver's seat. It was a Toyota 1-2, as the Castrol Honda failed to get past its prey before the end of the race. In GT300, it was the Zenavi Nissan which was victorious. Round 4 of the championship was held at the Central Park Mine circuit, and it was an all-Toyota front row. Toshio Suzuki in the Castrol Supra was first into the first corner, while the Taisan Viper struggled to stop for turn 1. After a few corners, the Nakajima Racing NSX was doing all it could to stop the top 4 being an all-Supra affair. The driver of the Castrol NSX got a good view of the end of the Nakajima NSX's efforts, as it was pushed into the gravel by the Takata Dome NSX. It got out, but it lost a lot of time. There was trouble for the 36 Supra, which had a strange spin under braking and lost a few positions when it was extricating itself from the gravel trap. In GT300, the Zenavi Nissan of Takeshi Tsuchiya and Yuji Ide led from the start, their works-back Silvia building up a lead over the Daishin Silvia in second. That lead got even bigger when the driver of the orange Nissan took an unintended trip through the gravel trap and had to pit to clean out the accumulated debris as a result, and deal with a damaged wheel, which ultimately proved to be terminal. After the earlier delay of the Nakajima Racing NSX, the Pennzoil GTR had caught up to the back of the Matsumoto Kiyoshi Supra and soon found its way past, but then headed to the pits so that Eric Komas could take over from Satoshi Motoyama. It maintained its position though over the yellow and blue Supra, which had also stopped. The race leader also came in, so Suzuki could hand over to Ukyo Katayama. Katayama, though, was soon looking in his mirrors, as Komas in the yellow Nissan was closing the gap. What those watching at the time did not know is that the Toyota had brake problems and the Nissan had gearbox trouble. It was unable to use fourth gear. Despite these issues, the pair was solidly ahead of the GT500 pack, which was somewhat depleted after a number of cars had mechanical problems. With about 16 laps to go, a huge battle for the lead broke out. Komas was able to brake better, but with a gear missing, was losing out on acceleration. There were nervous expressions in both garages, as the leaders passed and repassed one another. But in the end, Komas, in the Nissan, was the one to take the flag. Not really challenged in the latter part of the race, the Zenavi Nissan won GT300, making it a good day out for Nismo. It was back to Fuji Speedway for round 5 of the series, and the Toyotas had again dominated in qualifying. By the time the cars got out of the first corner, the top 5 were all Supras, the 3 Team Toms cars, followed by the Sard car, and the Esso Supra rounded out the formation. While the Raybrig NSX tried to join Toyota's exclusive party, Hideki Noda in the Esso Supra started to move up the order. In GT300, Team Taisan had turned up with its new Porsche 996 GT3, and it was going very well indeed, going from 3rd to 1st in a single manoeuvre. In GT500, the Esso Supra continued to work its way up the order, making getting past the 36 Castrol Supra look easy into the first corner. He had taken the lead. Back in GT300, the bright yellow RX-7 of Haruhiko Matsumoto managed to wrestle the lead of the Taisan Porsche, but Hideshi Matsuda in the German car was not giving up easily. A scary moment for the Momo Corsi MR2, which spun to a stop in the middle of the track. Lucky to not be collected by anyone, it then recovered to the grass where it damaged its front splitter on the turf. The battle at the front of the GT300 field continued, and Matsumoto sensed an opportunity to get by the Mazda, and took it with enthusiasm, and soon he was opening up a gap. In GT500, the FK Massimo Supra got into a tangle with one of the GT300 cars, which had not noticed the Toyota was trying to get up the inside. Both ended up on the grass. The number 18 Takata Dome NSX found its way past the 36 Castrol Supra at turn 1, and set off after the Pennzoil GTR, which had also passed the Supra. Still defending its position against the Supra, the Honda ducked up the inside of the Nissan and just managed to keep the position, while the yellow GTR had to fend off the Toyota as well. The Dome team were clearly pleased with this move. The race win eventually went to the Esso Supra, which had not really looked back after taking the lead. In GT300, Team Taisan's Porsche took the win in its debut race, one of the Taisan crew falling off the pit wall in excitement. Wayne Gardner was made to feel very welcome when he got back to the starting grid. The 6th round of the championship was at Tanaka International Aida Circuit, and for the first time this season, qualifying had been dominated by the Hondas, with the Nakajima racing car leading into the first corner. Soon though, the Raybrig NSX had snatched the lead from the Mobil 1 liveried car, as the Takata Dome NSX looked to try to get second. The first of the Castrol Supras had managed to get into the fight too, and tried to go around the outside of the Takata Dome NSX, without success. In GT300, the Zenavi Nissan was leading, having qualified on pole. The Nakajima Racing NSX later caught back up to the Raybrig NSX and retook the lead from the blue Honda. Having made its point, the car then headed to the pits, where Hidetoshi Mitsusada handed over to Tom Coronel. The Raybrig NSX was also in for Kunimitsu Takahashi to take over, but as he rejoined it was clear that the white Honda had extended its lead. Bad news in GT300 for Team Taisan as its Porsche coasted to a halt with a broken throttle, the car coming to a halt beneath its own team stand where the pitboard was still optimistically being displayed. Back in GT500, the Raybrig NSX was no longer fighting for the lead, rather it was defending its position from the jointed tensions of the Artis Skyline and a Castrol Supra. Soon the orange-jacketed Artis XL Skyline got past the Honda. After 82 laps, the Nakajima Racing NSX of Coronel and Mitsusada was victorious, which put a large smile on Mitsusada's face, and probably on Coronel's as well. GT300 was won again by the Zenavi Nissan, having dominated the race despite carrying 80 kilos of ballast. The final round of the championship was at Twin Ring Motegi, and it started with an emotional farewell from Kunimitsu Takahashi, who would be contesting his final championship round. He was retiring to focus on team management. There was a lot of attention too on the Pennzoil Skyline, and Eric Comas in particular, who was in sole contention for the title, as his teammate, Motoyama, had skipped around. The Toyota duo of Masanori Sakiya and Takuya Kurosawa in the 36 Castrol Supra were his title rivals, and they led the race from the start. The Castrol Honda was in second and the Artis XL Skyline in third. The Pennzoil Nissan was back in eighth. Soon though, Motoyama, in the yellow Skyline, was moving forward, although the Saab Supra wasn't going to make it easy for anyone to get past it. In GT300, there was also a battle for the championship, but the class was led comfortably by the Taisan Porsche, which was not in contention. On the other hand, the Zenavi Nissan was very much in contention, but it had already started to struggle with its brakes. At the front of the race, the Castrol Honda, driven by Ryo Michigami, passed the 36 Castrol Supra for the lead, the Toyota not defending too hard in order to protect its points. Further back, the Raybrigg NSX encountered the Nakajima Racing Honda and got a bit too close for comfort, both cars losing time. The Pennzoil Nissan made its scheduled stop, so Komas could take over. His stint would decide whether he would be champion or the Toyota crew. There were high fives in the pit lane for a good stop, but would it be enough? A slow stop for the Castrol NSX saw it lose some time, and that gave the lead back to the 36 Supra. In GT300, title contender Morio Nitta handed over the Momo Corsi MR2 to Shinichi Takagi, and he got out of the pits ahead of the Zenavi Nissan, Nitta's title rival. The Castrol Honda, trying to pass the Esso Supra, went straight into the gravel, and what followed looked more like rallycross than sports car racing. The Pennzoil Nissan team's fast pit stops and the misfortune and rallycrossing of others had seen Komas move up to second. In GT300, the Momo Corsi MR2 was struggling with vibrations and yielded its position to the Wedsport Celica. Although the race was won by the 36 Supra and Toms clinched the team's championship, it was Eric Komas in the Nissan who took the overall championship. He finished third after letting his teammate Aguri Suzuki pass him on the line. It was enough. The Taisan Porsche won the GT300 race and waved politely. The attention, though, was on the 25 Momo Corsi MR2. Despite him not being in the car as it crossed the line, Morio Nitta was GT300 champion, and he jumped off the pit wall to celebrate. Komas too was very happy about his championship, and he climbed out of the window of his Nissan on the cooldown lap. With the championship decided, the teams then headed for the Autopolis circuit for the first time, for the season-ending All-Star race. The Hondas qualified well and filled the top 4 places into the first corner. In GT300, the Zenavi Nissan led from the start, while the yellow RX-7 spun onto the grass and gently into the wall. Komas, the newly crowned champion, had started in 9th, but was working his way through the field and was soon catching up to the Hondas. The 81 Daishin Silvia in GT300 was probably left wondering what it had done to upset the Acura RX-7 after this moment, which left it in the gravel. Rain started to fall about halfway through the race, sending most of the field to the pits for wets and driver changes. After the stops, the Raybrigg NSX found itself locked in a wheel-to-wheel battle with the Pennzoil Skyline. The Honda got the position and soon caught up and passed the Castrol NSX as well. Kunomitsu Takahashi looked on. His last driving stint in a Jgtc race was over. The engine in Team Taisan's Porsche decided to end the season early and expired in a plume of smoke. The car had been leading in GT300. This left the Cusco Subaru and Impreza to take the lead. Back in GT500, the two Nismo-run Skylines were having fun with one another, with the Artis XL car getting the upper hand. It then set off after the Castrol Honda and got past that as well. The win, though, went to the Nakajima Racing Mobile 1 NSX of Tom Coronel and Mitsusada. while a farewell message was shown to Kunimitsu Takahashi. The GT300 win went to the Subaru Impreza. If you've enjoyed these 1999 Jgtc highlights, then please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment.